Hello, it's my absolute pleasure and delight to have as my guest world leading hypnotherapist Tim Freeman. Very warm welcome to my podcast. Thank you very much for joining me today. How are you?
Thank you, Anna. I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much. I'm so delighted to have you here. And let's jump straight into it. You promised to show us, to demonstrate really quick, short hypnotherapy session. Please.
Sure. Yeah, I'd like to share a really useful technique to start. It's a pretty quick technique anyone can learn. It's really fun and it's very effective and very helpful. So I wanted to kick things right off with that. It's called a two-breath hypnosis technique. So if you're in a position where you'd like to participate fully, just make sure that you're in a safe place where you can relax and be undisturbed for just a minute or two. And we'll get started. So go ahead and just settle in to a comfortable position. Really simple, nothing too formal here. And when you're ready, just close your eyes. And I'd like you just to take account of how you're feeling right now on in terms of relaxed and comfortable. Think of a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is so comfortable and relaxed, and 1 is like you are ready to run out of the room. Just take note of the number there where you feel right now. And I'd like you to imagine a color that represents peace and tranquility. And just nod your head when you've got that color in mind. And I'd like you to think of a color that represents that running out of the room. It represents stress and anxiety and tension. And with your next inhalation, go ahead and take a deep breath in and imagine breathing in that color that represents peace and tranquility, and just let it infuse every muscle, nerve, and cell in your body. And when you exhale, breathe out the color that represents stress, tension, and anxiety. And once again, with your next in-breath, breathe that color of peace and tranquility even deeper into your body, into your whole system, and just let it expand. And then with your next exhalation, breathe out that color that represents stress, tension, everything you don't want. And when you're feeling better, open your eyes. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put yourself now after that simple two-breath technique?
Yes, I would put myself very close to 10.
Oh,
Nine and
great.
a half,
And where were you before?
8.
8. Okay, yeah, great. Yeah, so this is a very, very helpful technique. This is developed by my teacher, Erica Flint. I want to give her credit for this two-breath hypnosis technique. Sometimes the simpler, the better, especially in the heat of the moment when we are emotionally charged. This is something you can immediately reach for. And if this demonstration helped prove to you the power of your mind, the power of your consciousness, and how you can regulate your state in very short order, then I invite you to use this as often as you'd like.
Yeah, thank you so much for this beautiful demonstration. It's absolutely wonderful. Because when you said what number, I thought, well, I am pretty high, 8. But let's see if we can improve on that one. So I made sure to relax my body as advised by you. And yeah, I jumped from 8 to 9.5 in such a short short amount of time, which really proves how effective this technique really is. So thank you so much. And
Yeah,
I would recommend after having this taster. And yeah, how did you learn about it?
my teacher taught this to me, and I use it. And I'll tell you where I've used it to the greatest effect. Probably in traffic, actually. That's kind of where I have tended to reach for it in the past. But really, any time where I want to show up a little differently. If I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling tension, I want to regulate my nervous system really quickly. This is a really great. There's so many ways to regulate our nervous system, and of course, we're anchoring this into the breath a bit.
Mhm.
Breath is one of the most powerful levers we have to regulate our nervous system. So combine that with your imagination and getting into a light hypnotic state, and it can be really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely powerful, and I can imagine how useful it can be in traffic, and you're sitting there, and once the red light comes on, it's good to kind of breathe that red light out and to bring
Yeah,
like a little bit of a green in. So,
yeah, and whatever
yeah.
colors, this is what in hypnosis, we're always working with whatever comes up in the subconscious, comes up into conscious awareness from the subconscious. So, when you're practicing this, whatever color comes to mind is exactly right. It might be different every single time. Kids love this too. This is a fun one to do with kids.
Mhm, mhm, fantastic. Thank you so much. So before we crack in and dive deep into our subconscious mind, um, I would like you to tell us, who are you? Who is Tim?
Sure, I love this question. And honestly, I mean, I'm just like a soul in the world, like everyone else, right? We're all here in the same boat, having this human experience. So first and foremost, I'm just another human in the world, like everybody else, with our own. Everybody's got our own unique strengths and weaknesses and abilities and all of that good stuff. I do think one of my strengths is I've always been kind of a reflector, and
Mhm.
folks have felt comfortable talking to me about really personal matters and whatnot, and felt really comfortable with me in that regard. So I think that's a strength that helps me in this role that I'm in. But I'm really someone, as a hypnotist, I'm someone who's investigating consciousness via the subconscious, through the lens of the subconscious.
Mhm.
So I've always been, I'm really interested in the subtext behind, the subtext underneath our thoughts and feelings and behavior. And so as a hypnotist, I get to be a guide to the meaning making machinery that everybody has, and we rarely examine it.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I also get to be a bridge between the intellectual and the emotional and the felt experience. I'm also trained as an acupuncturist, so that brings a bit of mind body understanding to the
Yeah.
work that I do. Um,
Yeah. So in short, you will describe yourself as a bridge between subconscious mind and conscious mind, really, because that's what your job is. And if your heart is open in that sense, that people are comfortable coming to you and being vulnerable, because that's something that's really, I feel tricky for some people to open up and to be vulnerable in first or second session, and to have a person there who is present. That's what I'm experiencing, just this presence, without even saying something. People feel comfortable, and they're like, I want to tell you everything because I'm ready to program right now.
well,
So, and that's beautiful.
I like to think that I think people have told me they feel that way. I like to think people feel that way, and I like to make people feel that way too. So thank you for
Absolutely.
mentioning that.
Thank you. So what is hypnotherapy exactly? What is it?
Sure. So hypnotherapy, the kind of an official technical definition I work from is it's the use of hypnotic techniques intended to help move people towards health and wholeness.
Mm,
Um, that's a pretty, blanket definition. It's a tool for investigating consciousness directly through experience, not theory. And that's why I really appreciate it. And it creates a dialogue between the conscious and the subconscious without bypassing awareness. And
right.
so in the work that I do, we access it. Hypnotherapy accesses deeper aspects of our consciousness that just get drowned out by our
Mm,
everyday waking consciousness, our beta brainwave activity that is just
right.
trying to solve the problems in our experience, minute to minute. Um,
It
it's
does make
having a
sense.
conversation with
Mhm,
the parts of you that decide before you think,
mhm,
that make flash associations before you even realize it.
mhm,
And my approach to hypnotherapy is a little different than what you might think of as traditional hypnotherapy, or what we would call like direct suggestion
Right.
hypnotherapy, where you might imagine someone lying there or seated there and the hypnotist is offering suggestions and you just kind of absorb them and into your subconscious mind. And that's at the core of hypnosis. But I do use advanced techniques that are more interactive, and like hypnotic age regression and chair therapy, parts mediation, some advanced techniques that are used in the context of uh, therapy, but we're doing it in hypnosis. So we're getting around the critical factor, kind of the guard at the gates, so to speak, and able to access and integrate the deeper levels of consciousness.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. So let's dive deep. Let's go in, let's be real, let's go into the depth. Let me ask you, what, in your opinion, is subconscious? What lives in that subconscious mind? What
Yeah,
can we find there?
this is an interesting question, more interesting than ever now, I think, because
Mm-hmm.
people are more sophisticated than ever in terms of their understanding of consciousness. It's really a kind of a cool time. It might just be the circles I run in. I don't know, but the subconscious mind, I've learned recently that it's really considered a lay term. It's not really a scientific term. The scientists prefer terms like the adaptive unconscious or preconscious, and I find that very useful. To me, subconscious is basically everything below our conscious awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And so our conscious awareness is limited. Our conscious thinking mind, it's like a dark room and we've got a flashlight and we're looking at this field of view. And that's about, it's like 7 to 9 bits of information at one time is all our conscious mind can handle. I think that our understanding might have evolved past that specific figure by now, but the point is it's limited. And your subconscious mind, subconscious is everything in your nervous system, everything in your awareness that processes all of your perceptions. It records all of your experiences. It attaches a meaning and a story to everything that you perceive and experience. It's the source of your emotions and your thoughts around your perceptions. To me, that's subconscious mind. Not something to fix; it's something to understand and work with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's preconscious, and that can be cultural, personal, or archetypal. It's a very associative because it's like likened to a supercomputer, right? Compared to the power of our consciousness is really rooted in our subconscious, the processing power, I should say.
Incredible. That processing, thank you so much. That processing power is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, right. It's like this sophisticated computer
Yep.
that, as you have rightly pointed out, we need to understand to be able to reprogram. We need to know what kind of programs are in our subconscious mind to be able to reprogram.
Right.
So I would say to people that I work with, for example, it's fantastic to repeat affirmations all day long. Great, do
Yeah.
it. But just think about it, that the subconscious works on 95%, is 95% of this powerful energy. And your conscious, that is repeating repetitions, it's 5. So you're trying to reprogram 95% with 5%. How can a hypnotherapy help people reprogram their subconscious mind for optimal health?
Sure. Yeah, and this is what it's made for. Hypnotherapy is, we're working with our brain's predictive system. We're constantly predicting, like based on our past experiences, and because the subconscious mind is so associative, when something comes up in our awareness or we perceive something that kind of pings a past experience, it's that association is strong, and we might kick off a whole loop of thoughts and feelings and behaviors out of that. So how can it help reprogram, or how can hypnotherapy help reprogram the subconscious for optimal health? Really, the sky's the limit on this. Like, and your beliefs are really the only limit. Of course, there are limits to our physical reality. We live in a field of certain limitations. But really, though, um, I look at it less like reprogramming,
Hmm.
more like coming to updated understandings of what's already there. So we're able to access this 95%, or what's like under our conscious awareness. We're able to, first of all, quiet the thinking mind, which is the main barrier, I would say. We're able to just quiet it enough to listen to everything that's underneath, and
Yeah.
get awareness around our beliefs and our patterns that are these kind of loops that I mentioned. So we are really resolving unresolved loops, and putting proper conclusions on unfinished stories that are still running from like maybe decades ago. So it's kind of neuroplasticity at work. Our brains can rewire at any age. But optimal health is kind of what you're asking about. This can take all kinds of forms, and it really depends on the individual. Some and the goals, like what kind of goals. Like I work
Sure.
with folks who are athletes who want to improve their performance in that regard, and that's more optimal health for them. For other people, it's more of an emotional
Yeah.
scenario that is where they need to move towards more optimal health. So there's, in the context of habits too, this is a big one, right? Like smoking, weight loss. These are the kind of the things that come to mind pretty readily when you think about hypnotherapy. So there's health habits, health behaviors that we can kind of get underneath. And we're really what's happening here. I think the insight I want to share in terms of optimal health and
Sure.
reprogramming for optimal health is that we're we're getting below the conscious thinking mind. We're able to like put the new endings on the story and kind of have an updated understanding. And then we're integrating this spectrum of our consciousness. We're kind of getting everybody in line, as we mentioned previously, behind what you really know you want to be doing, like behind your true desire, or behind what you know is going to benefit you the most. So often we get trapped in knowing what we need to do, knowing what we should do, and not being able to do it. So this is where we kind of get all of these aspects of our consciousness aligned behind that.
Yeah.
That's basically at a foundational level. Individual goals aside, that's essentially what we're doing to help people get to optimal health.
Yeah. So yeah, when I refer to optimal health, what do most people want? Regardless, is it weight loss? Is it athletes that you're working with? Is it emotional? The end goal, I would assume, what I'm intuitively picking up is to be free, is to be happy, is to experience joy. So let's say if the athlete achieves what they feel is optimal health, well, it's not necessarily uh, sport. It's this joy, it's this sense of achievement, this sense of maybe even purpose, freedom that comes with it.
Yep.
So I feel, I'm not sure how it is in your lines of work, but in my lines of work, I feel regardless what problem and challenges and goals people have, the ultimate goal is always one of those four, five, or all of them together. It's freedom, it's joy, it's happiness, it's fulfillment, and it's breaking these barriers of limiting beliefs that we are setting for ourselves. Because we are setting ourselves for failure. So we need to kind of push through that fear, those barriers, and there is this sense of achievement and joy and peace that comes with it. Would you say it's similar from your perspective?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that into the conversation too. It's something that I kind of missed, but it's something that I always do with all my clients. And it's that joy piece to it that for us to be able to um, reach a goal or to live a life that is satisfying, fulfilling, we have to focus on what brings us joy. And that a lot of times, depending on the individual's goal, and like in my practice, they have different goals, but we're always going to be looking for what is going to bring them joy in the process. And we're always reinforcing that. And we get to do that in some really cool ways with hypnosis. It's not just sort of bringing it to mind and reminding yourself, like, oh, yeah, we get to do this at the deepest levels where it's a felt, we call it revivification. It's not memory or, just sort of like recalling. It's reliving. So we get to help people relive and live into, feel into like what brings them that joy. And that leads to intrinsic motivation. So forced this, right?
100% is that this direct experience, because we can have any knowledge and any vision on how you should feel like in this kind of conceptual kind of level, but yeah, it needs to be felt in a body to for us to be able to experience it as something that's real, that's worth pursuing,
Mm-hmm.
because it's this emotion, it's this fire, this joy that arises from our body
Right.
that pushes
Yeah.
us forward.
Good point, Anna, too, because that is an aspect of our consciousness, our body's consciousness, our physical nervous system. It is an aspect of consciousness, and that is part of that spectrum that we're helping to kind of link up and align.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what I really, really love? What you've said at the beginning, that subconscious isn't just mind. Many people don't think it's our body, it's our nervous system, it's
Right.
fascia, it's our bones, it's our flesh, is everything. Because this body is such an incredible. It's like this sophisticated machine, really, that can feel, that can sense. And thank you very much for bringing that subconscious is actually our body as well, and we have
Yeah.
to pay attention to it. So let me just quickly just ask you this, because lots of people who have experienced trauma, sometimes they can experience, let's say, fear or anger or tightness in the body without knowing or realizing on conscious mind what are they experiencing. And that reminds me of what you've said, they're experiencing the subconscious in the body. How fascinating.
It is fascinating, and you're right. It's so it's miraculous, this experience in this body that we're having in a lot of ways. There's lots of ways people just like kind of break this down, and it's easy to get caught in semantics on this kind of stuff, like subconscious and unconscious, and there's also this concept of superconscious, and
Mhm.
it's just ways of kind of helping us understand this whole spectrum of being. And um, a lot of it starts in the nervous system in the body, right?
Yes, absolutely. I feel, and I'm huge advocate for holistic health, and holistic health has to include mind, body, and soul consciousness, super consciousness, and beyond.
Right.
For us, for our optimal health, because we are not just a body. We have the soul, we have spirit, and we have direct contact with consciousness, because we are source consciousness. And I feel that all our so-called illnesses, fears, come from this disconnection. Disconnection with our subconscious, disconnection with our source consciousness, disconnection with our heart consciousness, Christ consciousness. So once we unite all of these elements together for optimal health, people, as you said beautifully, do experience miraculous healings.
Hmm.
And it's been documented, like cancer. People have cancer all over, and suddenly, boom, cancer's gone. And no
Right.
one can explain why. It's this connection happens, and source consciousness, different dimension of energy comes in, and healings can happen in
And,
that
and
way
that's
as
why
well.
I love. I was so excited when you asked me to come talk to you because you are very tuned into that element of that aspect of our consciousness. And that's an important aspect that you're bringing into it too. It's this, whatever your beliefs, everybody's got different beliefs here, but whatever your beliefs, some people are, aspiritual, but
Yes.
there is a higher or larger or broader um, aspect of our consciousness that you might even, even if you're not a spiritual person, you could at least concede that there are higher principles that are helpful to us, like love or
100%.
nature, or any of.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much for mentioning that, because yes, some people would say I'm not spiritual, but then when they go to nature, they feel connection. They don't even know what it is,
Right.
but that's what it is. So it always works regardless what level of consciousness people actually have, and that leads me nicely to next question that I have for you. I think it's really important. It's in your experience, in your practice, in your daily life, what do you think are the three main barriers to people actually healing themselves?
Yeah, this is a really great question. And there's so many ways we can look at this. There's so many ways we can answer this. But I mean, just out of our conversation here, I think the main thing is not willing to face our whole self in some way. Some aspects of us get shoved aside, get pushed down. We feel like fear, shame, guilt, um,
Mm-hmm.
these feelings that prevent us from looking at ourselves honestly. And I think that's one of the main barriers. Um,
Right. Or
another one.
fear and shame, would you say? Sorry, Tim. I didn't get that. Is it fear and shame, number one, would you say?
Not
Oh,
not willing to face our whole,
mm-hmm.
not willing to be kind of honest with about
Aha,
ourselves, and that's because of
right.
fear and shame and guilt.
Aha, I see. Mm-hmm.
Um, we've developed those feelings around aspects of ourselves that make us unwilling to look at them, and it
Mm-hmm.
or any number of valid reasons, right? Uh,
Right.
and I think it's also an illusion that we can really truly face our whole selves. We're so
Mm-hmm.
complex, right? We can try to look at the whole spectrum. We can try to align the whole spectrum, and we can make really good attempts at that. But we're just bigger than that too. So
Right.
I would say the second thing, the second barrier that comes to mind is this idea that that's just the way we are,
Aha.
that we've got personality traits that are just part of us, and that's just, or whether it's a personality trait or a quality of, or even an emotion, like an emotional response, an emotional reaction. That's just the way we are. Um, Settling with that, believing, um, the subconscious doesn't necessarily like change in all
Mm-hmm.
cases. It exists to help us survive, or,
True.
in part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And change is uncertainty. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
easy to kind of flatline with some patterns or traits, quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I'm very happy that you have used the word illusion, because from my point of view, that's exactly what it is. It's this kind of trickster energy illusion that's telling us um, that we shouldn't change, that it's scary to change, that,
Sure.
as you said beautifully, well, it is what it is, so I might as well resign to it. Or
Right.
sometimes people will believe it's better the devil you know rather than
Right.
what's unknown, and it's all illusion. Because
Yeah.
in full of consciousness, if we have one, like we live in a world of duality, so surely if we have one option, then surely there is opposite option that lives and exists exactly at the same time. So if we are experiencing, let's say, pain, then in our consciousness there has to be joy as well. But are we going to choose it? So do you
Right.
think sometimes it's a question of choice, or perhaps giving energies away or power away, or just kind of um, giving a choice away as well, and saying to yourselves, well, I don't have a choice, I might as well just stay as I am.
You're right. That's really apt, I think, is that we do give our choice away in that regard. We always have a choice. To kind of finish the question, like maybe the third barrier here is back to our previous conversation. I think it's not acknowledging the mind, body, spirit nature of our being. It's we are multifaceted. It's like uh, a physical disease does not exist only as a physical disease, right? There are emotional aspects, there are mental aspects, there are spiritual aspects. Likewise, all around, right? If you've got an emotional difficulty, like there can be physical aspects, there are mental aspects, there are spiritual aspects.
Yeah, it's all connected, isn't it?
Yeah.
We can't really separate one from another. I think once we start separating, then we are literally, in my humble opinion, making it worse for ourselves. If we start
Yes.
separating emotions from body and from spirit.
Yeah, I think so too. And in terms of just the body, kind of back to the body's consciousness here too. I think certain conditions, mental emotional conditions, like anxiety and depression, they limit our interoception in some ways. We're not able to feel into like the body as closely as we might. That can be beneficial for us to kind of restore that interoception, that
Interesting.
inner observation, that inner experience that's both physical and mental and emotional, right?
Would you say that sometimes we would experience anxiety and depression as a protective mechanism to
Yeah,
give
I
ourselves a little break?
I do absolutely with
Mhm.
depression, especially
Yeah.
as a break. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, definitely. It's a in I work within a few frameworks, and one of them kind of defines uh, primary feelings, secondary feelings, and tertiary
Mhm.
feelings. And just kind of in a nutshell, the primary feelings can really arise out of an unmet need, want, or desire. And
Mhm.
that need, want, or desire continues to go unmet, it can kind of like spiral into frustration. And then
Mhm.
from there, it continues into like a depression, kind of a normal, healthy depression, not
Yeah.
like a clinical level depression.
Right.
And it really is like a safety valve. It's like, okay, this
Yes.
is not working. We've got to pull back and do something different.
Mm, absolutely, 100%. Thank you so much for mentioning that, because there's so much stigma out there around the depression, and we need to heal really quickly, and we need to put pressure on ourselves, etc. But I feel our body knows, our inner intelligence knows what it's doing, and
Yeah.
I feel same as you. It is a protective, and I was. Let me just give audience this example. When I used to work for the Metropolitan Police Service
Ooh,
in London as a detective
that.
for just over five years. So it was traumatic. It's very kind of male dominated. There's lots of this kind of patriarchal toxicity, I would say. Lots of pressure, and there's no one day that's not traumatic. I was working in a child abuse team, domestic violence, CID, which deals with uh, with with murders, attempted murders, and so on and so forth. So it's trauma and trauma and trauma and trauma. And I remember after second or third year, I started experiencing, I couldn't sleep. I had to take sleeping tablets sometimes. I couldn't quite cope, but I didn't understand why I couldn't cope. And I would go in and I would say to myself, Anna, it's only 3 days, then you have 48 hours off. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Year five came, and I woke up in the morning. Usually, my morning routine was this: my clothes was ready. Everything is nicely ironed. I would wake up. I would quickly dress myself. I would have a little espresso. I wouldn't sit down, and I would go. because I had to be at work for 7 a.m. if that was my shift. On that day, because I was not listening to those warning signs. I was just ignoring. I'm fine, I can cope. And then on that morning, I sat down, which was like, no, I had a cup of coffee and my body would not go to work. My mind was screaming, come on, Anna, get off this sofa, you need to go to work, like, what do you think you're doing? But my body just said no. And that was protective mechanism, because
Sure.
I said no to myself for such a long time. This protective mechanism kicked in. When body said no, book comes to mind and said, we are protecting you right now. You don't have enough common sense to protect yourself. Now we are jumping in to protect you. It was that kind of thing. Yeah.
Sure. Well, and it's like kind of like humorous self-deprecation aside there. Like, well, and further to that, how many times had you felt like you had to force that message down?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your body was trying to give you, or some other
Yeah.
aspect of your consciousness was trying to give you that
Yes.
message, and you got to go to work. You've got a responsibility, and you've got an
Sure.
important job to do, right? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's fascinating, Anna. Thank you for sharing that, and just knowing that about your background. And gosh, I hope
No.
you acknowledge the power of your own being and your own spirit to have emerged
Mm-hmm.
from that chronic trauma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Witnessing chronic trauma. I mean, chronically like traumatized every day, and to end up where you're at now.
Yeah, every single day, and not one case was pleasant. It was really, like when you work as a detective, rather than, we call it uniform, you get you get really really complex cases.
Hmm.
You see the really dark side of humanity. But why am I actually sharing that story? It's not because of that, but because to kind of emphasize to people watching is that is that it's for them to recognize the signs to do something about it sooner, rather than waiting for that point where body said no. Well, even if people are waiting, and even if they do have a burnout and crash, to respect, it's sacred. It's
Hmm.
like suddenly this egg is formed around you to protect you.
Yeah,
So that's why I shared, for people to actually, eh, so people can help themselves and not criticize themselves, and not to think they're lazy or weak or not good enough. You are good enough. You just need rest to heal.
that's right. Yeah, really, I'm glad you brought that in too, because that is one thing that I love about hypnosis is it does increase our capacity to listen to these signals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like
Yeah.
primary, right? So yeah, thanks for sharing that. And that's, when you asked the question about three barriers to healing, I think that's another thing too that,
Yeah.
to add a fourth one to
Mm-hmm.
that. But sometimes it feels impossible to pull ourselves out
Mm-hmm.
of a job, a relationship,
Mm. Right.
a family care situation. And so in that case, we really have to lean into our capacity to hear the signals
Mm.
and find those ways to align these aspects of our consciousness in ways that can help us through in the best way.
100%. And thank you very much. That fourth one was well worth pushing into these three three that we already had, because I feel that's really important. So thank you so much for pointing that one out.
Yep.
Mhm. Right. A really interesting question for you. Many people are scared of death.
Uh-huh.
So why are people scared of death, and how can hypnotherapy help them overcome that fear?
That is such an interesting. I mean, isn't this like the fundamental question? Isn't the fear of
It
death just like the fundamental thing, right? Of consciousness. But I think, from in my experience of working with people, like it's getting them in touch with that larger aspect, whatever that is. It might be God for you, right?
Right.
It might be God. It might be the concept of, it might be just tuning into the aspect of our consciousness that we call spirit.
Right.
Whatever that is, getting someone in tune, like really like in tune with that larger that aspect that is larger than them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and they might, if someone's got a real fear of death and it's really like um, interrupting their flow of life, then we're going to dig deep individually to see what exactly is behind that fear. It might be a fear that they're living an unfulfilled life. It might be
Mm.
fear that they're not living a life that, interestingly, I learned recently from, uh, I'm going to forget her name. Oh my gosh, I'm going to forget her name, but I learned that she wrote a book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. Bronnie Ware is her name.
Ah,
This book is excellent, but the number one regret of the dying is that they wish they had lived their life on their own terms as opposed to on other people's terms. And
wow, yeah.
so things like that. There's a lot of these like this world fears that are kind of looped into this fear of death that we can examine and kind of parse out in ways that I think are really helpful.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Because I'm noticing our Western society specifically, there is this taboo around death. If I was to, like, let's say if I'm in a some kind of tribal community, that dead body, just the body, will be exposed for everyone to see. There's nothing shameful. There's nothing hidden. It's really
Right.
wonderful to know that hypnotherapy can actually help people uh, pass this obstacle
Sure.
and have a more fulfilled life. As you said, you will have your client, you will go into subconscious mind and see where does that actually fear originates from.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's gaining more clarity around
Yeah,
what's behind it all for you. Um, and yeah, you're right. Like the taboo of it is that we're not exposed to it like maybe our ancestors were,
yeah,
and so it creates more fear that is
sure.
just based on the taboo, right?
Right, right. And also, I would like to ask you regarding addiction, because this addiction cycle and pattern is very complex, I would say,
Hmm.
because it involves our nervous system, our hormones, chemicals, dopamine goes up, and then you have crash, and then you want more, and around and round and round it goes. And most of the people, as I'm observing, are addicted to something.
Right.
Addicted, we can be addicted to pain, or addicted to healing, addicted to anything. So how can hypnotherapy actually help those people? If someone comes to you and say, look, Tim, like I had this. I'm a workaholic. I can't stop. I had this addictive pattern. I'm waking up 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm out of the house 6. I'm neglecting my wife and children. No idea why I'm doing this. I recognize it's an addiction. Help me.
Yeah. And addictions, especially substance, is really tricky because it really gets into
Mm-hmm.
biochemistry, and all of that. But there's, fundamentally the psycho-emotional aspects of it. It's that addiction is trying that behavior, that addictive behavior is you're trying to meet a need, you're trying to meet a desire, and it's maybe just not the way that's going to satisfy that need, want, or desire, but it gives you enough of a feeling like it does, at least subconsciously, to where it continues. So we just get down to the bottom of that and really find. And I just want to make it clear too with hypnotherapy, it's not me like telling people what to think, feel, or do. It's it's I'm guiding people to help discover that within themselves. The answers are always within us. So whatever that unmet need, want, or desire is behind that addiction, we can find
Mm-hmm.
it and you can get clarity on it.
Mm-hmm. I
And then
see.
we can figure out ways that meet that need, want, or desire where the pull of that addiction dissipates.
Wow. That's really interesting.
I quit smoking using hypnosis.
Wow.
Smoking cigarettes.
Okay. Tell us. Tell us about
Well,
it.
it's, for me, it's multifaceted. Like you said, it's so complex. It's never just about cigarettes, or it's never just about like working too much or whatever. There's lots of layers here, and I think the primary layer that is this unmet need, want, or desire. And once you find
Right.
a way to meet that need outside of that addictive behavior, which never fully satisfies it anyway, it
What is that need?
will, for
Sorry to
me,
interrupt.
Um,
Yes.
for me, it was with smoking cigarettes. It's different for everybody, but for me,
Sure.
it was that that was my time, just for me, only for me, and it was like a forced break in my day where I would not allow it otherwise. That was really at the core of it, but there were, like I said, there were lots of layers to it, right?
Sure. Sure.
Just as an example, that's how it manifested for me.
And how did you use hypnotherapy? Did you self hypnotize yourself?
I used
Did you?
self hypnosis. I did not work with a practitioner for that habit.
Right.
I've worked with hypnotherapists on for other issues for myself. And if it wasn't helpful for me, I wouldn't be in the field doing it.
Yes.
But with smoking specifically, I used self hypnosis. I used some hypnosis recordings, so I guess there was an element of like an outside hypnotist kind of helping me with that via a recording. But all hypnosis is self hypnosis. But it's kind of an interesting principle that I don't know if a lot of people really understand. The hypnotist is always only ever the guide, and you're only ever creating. Everything emerges from the mind. So your experience as a client in hypnotherapy it's emerging from you, and the hypnotist is just kind of guiding you. So with self hypnosis, you're really taking radical responsibility for doing it on your
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, because to stop smoking, it's incredibly difficult. There was this really well-known person that I can't remember the name, who said, "Oh, it's to stop smoking is so easy. I've done it thousands of times."
Yeah, I have a real soft spot in my heart for people who are struggling with that, because I know inside and out. I know,
Right,
me
right,
anyway.
right.
I know all about
Yes.
it. And it's very any addiction. We're talking about addictions here. Any addiction is full of shame. It's full of guilt. It's full of self-loathing. All of this builds in, and it's secrecy, and the whole bit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 100%, absolutely. Even Dr. Gabo Mate have said, and I love the guy for it, because he's just so honest and so open. He's how old is he now? I'm sure he's in his 80s, and he still said, "I'm struggling sometimes."
Hmm.
Dr. Gabo Mate, and he said he was addicted. I'm not sure if you're aware. He was addicted. He was buying those CDs, music CDs, and he said, I would spend thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds. It was hidden. My wife didn't know, and as you said, Tim, there was a shame attached to it. He was a doctor, well known, written books, and still had this addiction, this, as you said, unmet needs, because he was abandoned, as a not abandoned on purpose, as a really small baby. His mother gave him away so she could save his life, but it went so deep, kind of embedded in his subconscious, that he's not worthy, so he was
Yeah.
buying CDs
Isn't that interesting?
constantly.
This plays out with my clients like this all the time. You never know how it's quite gonna manifest, like this unmet.
Mhm.
And I also want to add here too, just to in this discussion
Sure.
about addictions, like to get the insight about what's kind of at the root of it, kind of this unmet
Yeah.
need, is groundbreaking. That's not all though. Like you've got to address the everyday habitual components as well. And that's with hypnosis we can effectively address it at that level too. So we want to get to the root of it, and we want to resolve that, and we want that insight, but we really want to integrate that into our daily lives, like
Yeah.
because he might even still to this day, like depending on, I don't know, depending on
Mm.
the process with it, he might still feel that pull
Yes.
at
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
habitual everyday kind of level, right?
Mm.
So you got to address
So
that
one
too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the questions I really wanted to. I was very curious to know once people, because to get into that very, very core root of the reality and challenges that we are experiencing is absolutely 100% groundbreaking. I have experienced it, but I also know from experience that if there is no continuous practice and embodiment of that knowledge, of that wisdom, it fades away, and then we need to dig dig a little bit again and find it. Why is that, and how can people, audience who are watching, embody that wisdom on daily basis? It doesn't bother them.
Yeah, I love that. That's what we get to do in hypnotherapy. That we get to find cool ways for people to embody it, and it's from a level of like it's a felt sense, right?
Yes.
And it's different. That's the thing. There's no like one size fits all for any of this stuff, right? It's all like,
Mm.
individual, but we can always find a way to help
Mhm.
embody that change, to help embody that to embody that insight on a consistent basis is what we're talking.
Yes.
And I think
So if you
back to
feel.
your other question about the therapy, like we get lots of insights in talk therapy. We can get lots and
Mhm.
lots of insights in talk therapy, but those insights might not go anywhere.
Mm, interesting, because it needs embodiment. So if you were to share with audience, let's say, uh, because you said there's plenty, let's say three. If you can share maybe three techniques to help people embody wisdom and knowledge.
Yeah, sure. So the thing that first comes to mind that I use a lot, I think, because it's super powerful, is what we call a hypnotic anchor, and it's a mind body technique, really. Where so, for instance, with my client, like we're going to be going through a process to kind of like reveal what is at the root, and let's just kind of track this a little bit so people might know what to expect when you're working with a hypnotist on this level. So you go into hypnosis, you're able to go through this process to help you identify like the kind of emotional roots that are there. You're able to get sort of an insight about the unmet need that's behind those emotions and the thoughts and the meaning we're applying to it. We're able to kind of get all that insight. But then we're able to take it a few steps further, and in a couple of ways, like, oftentimes I will do like a kind of mental rehearsal with people. We call it future progression. Hypnosis is time travel in the mind, which is really cool.
Oh, I like that.
So we can move into the future, and you've heard of the Olympic athletes who are using visualization to.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's hypnosis. Let's just
Oh
call
wow. Okay.
it,
It's
you can call it visualization, whatever.
mm,
It's kind of semantics, right? Like I prefer to
yes.
call it
Yes.
hypnosis because that's the line of work that I'm in, and I recognize it for what it is. But
Mm,
so I'll take a
wow.
client into the future, into a situation where this might be a trigger, and we've identified like what would be a trigger. We've identified what would signal that to them. We make it really clear for people how they want to be, how they want to
Mhm.
respond, and then
Mm,
we get it in the body. Like we get the feeling, we get a deep felt sense, and from there, once we've got the deep felt sense of that, we can use any number of concepts or gestures or
right.
anything like that as a hypnotic anchor. It Because the subconscious mind is so associative.
Mm,
The most common one is rubbing your thumb and forefinger together. Like you're
mm.
gonna like feel into this feeling that
And then you include.
and you're going to associate it subconsciously to this gesture, so that when you perform this gesture, it brings it right back into your consciousness. So that really, I think I kind of tied a few technical aspects into that, like future progression, kind of mental rehearsal, and then incorporating a mind-body technique like a hypnotic anchor can be really helpful.
I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's very useful to have actually examples and samples, and so people can kind of see and visualize how it works. And it reminds me when I was a young adult, I actually really had this kind of obsession with martial arts,
Mm.
with the kung fu, yeah. So I was doing taekwondo because I couldn't find kung fu in my area. I was only 14 maybe, and it never occurred to me that through visualization I was actually hypnotizing myself, because I remember when I would go to compete, I would constantly visualize myself in competition. No one told me to do it. It was just something that I was experiencing naturally. I was visualizing how I'm gonna move, how the person's gonna move, that it is, then I'm gonna do this, da, 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 da. And I was hugely successful. And now I know why I was
Yeah.
successful in competitions, because I hypnotized myself well before. I didn't even realize that's what I was doing, and
Isn't that
this
cool?
power of visualization is incredible.
Yeah, and that's you bring up a really good point here, Anna. That none of this all seems very mysterious, right? Like, and
Yes.
some of it is just very natural. Some of it is just very
Yes.
intuitive,
Mm.
like that. Like I think you naturally knew that you could visualize and kind of pre-vivify, if you will.
Mm. That's
Um,
exactly it.
And this, I'm a musician, so I've used this in the context
Oh,
of music, and that's a big one, like
oh,
performance
fantastic.
anxiety of music, and but athletes too. I mean, any of this
Yes.
like
Mm.
is
Mm.
very well served with,
Mm.
and so this visualization, we can take that deeper by using some hypnotic
Mm.
techniques too.
Interesting.
So
And hypnotherapy can help with that.
yes,
But what about we know we have some people who cannot visualize, they don't see imagery.
yeah, good.
What about those people?
Yeah, really good point. Let me illustrate this. This is the best way. This is the best way to answer
Mm.
that question. So, if you're watching this right now and you are the type of person who does not see mental images in your mind, who does not see mental images, fine. There's other ways of knowing. There's other ways of detecting these internal signals. So, just close your eyes and imagine going over to your refrigerator and opening the door, and what's in your refrigerator there. Go ahead and you can tell me, Anna, what's in your refrigerator.
Um, Maize, corn, maize,
Okay.
carrots, um, apple strudel.
Aha, you told me you made that earlier. So, okay, now how do you know? How did you know? Did you see it?
I saw it.
You saw it. So you see mental images, but I'd be interested if any of our viewers are uh, participating in that, and you're the type who does not see mental images. Let's hear from you. How did you know what was in your refrigerator? That's probably the best way to answer that question.
It's like a through knowing, would you say?
Yeah,
Like
right,
knowing.
right. Knowledge comes from, and I mean, your deep inner knowing, like you know all about this. This is knowledge comes from all like lots of different ways of knowing, right? And some of it comes from our senses, some of it comes from an internal sense, some of it comes from just an inner knowing. It's different for everybody.
So I was to ask for people who can't visualize, because I think it's really, really important, because they feel maybe perhaps that, because I'm a great visualizer, I can visualize anything, like huge imagination, nothing can stop me. But I also know people who are, I'm baffled when someone says to me, I can't visualize. Oh my gosh, how come we can't visualize? It's very bizarre. But there are people who just cannot visualize. So is it maybe useful for them to maybe have a board so they can actually see it with their eyes, or is it maybe more about feeling into it or writing it down somewhere so they can see it, so they can't see it in their mind, but they can maybe see it with their eyes?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. I think it again, I'm gonna defer to like it's an individual to individual basis. I think if someone doesn't visualize and they believe that creating a sort of vision board is going to be helpful,
Right.
let's do it.
Mm.
Uh,
Right. Sure. Sure.
if they might not need that though, because we can get such potent information. We can sense that information potently. Better way of
Mm.
saying it. Um, in
Right.
other ways. So it doesn't necessarily have to be. A lot of the outside world, most of the outside world comes into our awareness through our eyes. You know, you might
Mm.
argue sound too, but really like our eyes are the main portal to the
Yeah.
outside world. So
Yes.
um, but we have
That's
five
fascinating.
senses. We have internal senses. We have interoception. We have intuition. We have instinct. We have all these different levels of knowing.
Great. And what are the three main reasons why people come to yourself for your expertise and your services?
Yeah,
What are the three main people that come to you?
I would say number one is anxiety.
Ah,
Some flavor of anxiety. They might not even call it anxiety. A lot of times that is though. That is the presenting issue is anxiety. It could be like we said, performance anxiety. That could be athletic, artistic, musical, like occupational, professional. Um, Anxiety is number one. It's huge. So many people. It's just probably more prevalent in our world than ever before. I don't know if that's true or not, but it sure seems that way. Um,
yes.
Number two, it's healing from a painful past. Probably there's a lot of heartbreak and trauma and a lot of pain in our past that impacts our present. And I think, like I said, people are more sophisticated than ever nowadays in terms of consciousness. I feel. I don't know if that's exactly true, but it sure feels that way. And I think people are tuned in enough to know that something from their past is interrupting their present, right? And then number three, probably habit change. And that's broad intentionally because that goes anywhere from emotional eating to smoking to procrastination to perfectionism to mental habits, physical habits, nail biting, trichotillomania, like all kinds of
Wow.
habits.
That's so. Thank you so much for that insight. Because now, when you are saying what the three reasons are, and first one is anxiety, and then past trauma and habits, I can't help but thinking that all three have their root. If we pull the roots out, all the way down to childhood, all the way down to trauma. So everything that actually people are experiencing is somehow connected.
Yeah,
So I wonder, are people aware, even with people who come to you with habitual kind of challenges and anxiety, are they aware on some conscious level they have to dive a little bit into their childhood? Are they ready for it?
sometimes yes, sometimes no, and sometimes people aren't ready to, and so that's my job to create a container that feels safe
Sure.
for them
Yeah.
to go there. And by going there, it's not about like digging up the past for digging up the past's sake. We're not like nilly willy like digging into a painful past. We are working with memory reconsolidation. We're working with putting a new ending on the story that is more true. We're up understanding. We're correcting misperceptions because a lot of this stuff, like I'm so glad you brought this up, a lot of this is rooted in our early life. We know this. Um, on a analytical level, we know this, but on a personal level, not everybody's really aware of where this started. And in fact, most people probably aren't aware of the fact that Um, somebody's like hurtful words when you were 5 years old are at the root of your emotional eating at age 40. Who knows
Yes,
this, right?
100%. Right, right. Absolutely right. I do feel, thank you for sharing that, that it is so connected and the energies are so subtle that people, like it doesn't, maybe doesn't even make sense for some people. Well, why would that trigger my eating? So kind of to connect those dots. And as you said, going to this route can be extremely liberating for people.
It is. And let's connect those dots just a little bit more, just to kind of maybe even take this full
Sure.
circle to the discussion at the beginning, where, here's kind of how it works. We
Mm.
perceive something in our world, and it, comes into our awareness. And once it goes internal, then we have a thought and a feeling around it, and we assign a meaning to it. And that helps propel a behavior, a response.
Mm.
And the subconscious mind, adaptive unconscious, whatever you want to call it, it is a predictive machine. It is highly associative. And when you're working with that level of data, that glut of data, like it kind of has to be like things have to be put into buckets and make these associations, right?
Right.
The mind, that's the only way the mind can sort of handle it. And so being a predictive being a predictive um, apparatus, whatever, machine, whatever we call it, uh, we are using our past to inform a behavior. So if it's associated to something we've experienced in the past, then it might kick off this same thought feeling loop and lead to a behavior that is below our conscious
Right.
awareness.
Right, right. Okay, so it will be really good for people to actually see the situation that was triggering for them when they were children. They, I mean, we know how children are. As Dr. Gabamate said, they're all little narcissists because it's all about them. If good happens, it's about them. If bad happens, it's about
Sure.
because they are bad.
Yep.
So they're taking it very, very literally. So if someone said something to someone, or if there was some maybe big tease, big traumas, little traumas involved, of course, child will automatically assume that they are inherently really, really bad.
Yeah.
So for you to be able to go into the subconscious with your expertise and in such a gentle and beautiful way, because you have such a wonderful, beautiful
Oh,
energies,
thanks.
to go yeah, to help them go into it in gentle, non-judgmental way, and to guide them to see the situation from different
That's
perspective,
right.
from higher realms, like higher self. Oh, if I look at it from that perspective, now I can see it wasn't me. There was nothing wrong with me in this situation.
That's right. That's right. You really tapped into the core of what's happening with that. And again, this could be something that is a big trauma, or it could be some micro trauma that you never,
Mm-hmm.
like so many of my clients, I haven't even thought about that. I haven't remembered that since it happened.
Yeah.
I had no
Yeah.
idea that had anything to do with this.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah.
That's wow, isn't it? It's like that we can't even, we think it's really, really small, but it grew into this kind of big,
Yeah.
like illusion, big monster that are actually sabotaging people's lives. So thank you so much for that. And I would like to ask you if you want to dig deep into your subconscious conscious and tell us, why did you decide, what pushed you to choose this modality to help people liberate themselves from pain and suffering? Which, thank you so much for doing such a wonderful work, and thank you so much for your energies. But do tell us what you want to share. Go as deep as you feel comfortable and
Yeah,
tell us
sure. I can
why
keep this
this
brief
modality.
too. I mean, I've always been interested. I've always been kind of a geek about
Mhm.
consciousness. I've always kind of been interested in, what's behind our thoughts and our feelings. And my friend, when I was 16, my friend's dad was a counselor, a therapist who used hypnosis in his practice. And once I found that out, I was like, "Hey, can you hypnotize me?" and and he did. And at the time, I was kind of geeking out on. I wanted to learn astral projection. I really wanted to learn astral projection, and the books and everything that I was reading on it kind of stated that you really need like years of meditation under your belt to be able to get to a deep enough state of awareness to perform this. And I'm like, here's my shortcut. So I had him hypnotize me to get into a very deep meditative state, right? To be able to drop into it kind of on demand. And he offered me what I now know. It's a suggestion, but he offered me a hypnotic anchor that still operates to this day.
Wow.
Still operates,
Amazing.
and it's because I want it to, right? And that's the key with hypnosis. You want it.
Right.
I think you mentioned that earlier, but I wanted it to
So lovely.
work, and it did work. And sometimes it works whether you want it to or not, right? But in this case, because I think the reason it still works for me is because I I got so much out of it. I proved it to myself that it works, right? And I want it
Right.
to continue working, so it does. So that's kind of like where it all started. Kind of a goofy story, but that's the first time I was ever hypnotized, and it was pretty mind blowing at the time. And then
And you fell in love.
just briefly, out of the acupuncture clinic, my interest really intensified. We're always trying to balance the imbalances that we're detecting and diagnosing, and part of that involves lifestyle. So we're prescribing lifestyle advice to our
Mm,
patients, and we'd have patients who would really want to make changes in their health behavior, but they just couldn't, and they didn't know why, and it drove them nuts because they're smart, capable people who should be able to do that, and they couldn't. It drive them nuts, and the acupuncture wasn't going to do anything to help them with that. So that's really when I'm like, okay, and that's where hypnosis comes in.
right. 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 So it was. Are you saying it was? It was. It came out of this need, so to speak, to help humanity, to offer something a little bit extra, because you felt there is a gap. The people need something else.
Well, yeah, I think you're right, Anna. I think I knew I love East Asian medicine. It's so interesting, so it's
Mm-hmm.
effective and it's really
I
helpful.
know.
It's like,
Amazing.
but hypnosis works at a level that's even more fundamental. If
Mm-hmm.
you prescribe to the thought or the belief that everything is mind, everything that we think exists is just is emerging from the mind, then hypnosis is really helping us at the
Mm,
most fundamental level. Um,
I believe
so that's really like what got me turned in this direction.
that. Mm-hmm. That's really beautiful story. I absolutely love really meeting people and connecting with people who are actually asking themselves this kind of deeper question. How can I benefit humanity? How can I improve, let's say, today, so I can improve humanity as well? Because everything starts from us. How can I serve humanity better? Because I think that is actually our ultimate purpose for every
I
single one of us. Do we know it or we don't know it? Our purpose is to actually find a way to help ourselves so we can help humanity in some way. So that's really beautiful, Tim.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. And I know you have that. You've got a servant's heart. That's kind of the way I like to word this. That's a term my teacher uses, and I think it's totally apt. Like there's, most people do at their core have a servant's heart, and
Yeah.
life is complex, life is twisty, and some people get around to being able to um, have a purpose behind
Hmm.
helping others, uh,
Mm.
and that was me, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. That's really beautiful. Thank you so much. So I would like to. So, for example, if you are now presented in this very moment, person comes to you and they are really struggling with life, like everything is falling apart. The wife or husband have left them, the children hate them, whatever. What I mean is everything is falling apart and they're completely lost. They don't know what's up, down, left, right. And they come to you right now. They're sitting now in front of you. What would the one advice that you will give to that person to help them, make it to next day or next day and just to kind of hang on?
Yeah. Um, I love that you're opening this up to very real talk here, because I want to be very real on this one. Like, I am not about giving bullshit platitudes or cliches.
Thank you so much.
um, Not to say that that kind of thing can't be helpful, but the the BS cliche that first comes to mind when you ask me that is, "This too shall pass." That's true. That's true. Is that helpful for people in the moment? Like, in retrospect, it might be helpful, but I don't know. I don't know. So the thing that I would want them to know, the really, if I were to boil it down to one thing that I would want them to know, is they really need to lean way into some kind of restorative practice. And this is a term that I use, restorative practice. I view that as something like self-hypnosis, meditation, an internal practice of some sort. It could be Qigong, it could be Tai Chi, it could be something on that level that's a little more somatic. It could be yoga. By yoga, I mean the like physical asanas and all of that. A restorative practice, like lean way into it. And the reason is, when life's got pressures up to your eyebrows, like our conscious thinking mind, like that flashlight in the room, it's got this much scope and it's a problem solving machine, but it's only got this much scope. When pressures are that high, like it's just too much for it to handle. So going internal with one of these restorative practices is really the only way to access our deeper intelligence, which is the only way we are ever going to pull ourselves out of that kind of situation, whether you've got help or not. So
that's profound.
It's born out of my experience. I don't know if it's profound or not, but it's born out of my experience. And so that's in this life that's so unfair and complicated, and it's just full of it's full of beauty and miracles, but it's full of tragedy and horror. It just is. And so when we're at our rock bottom, the only way up from there is to go in.
Yeah, and that's profound, really, because we can say thank you so much for sharing that. I can feel lots of emotions there. So thank you so much for being vulnerable in that sense, and to sharing a little bit about yourself through giving advice to other people. I think that's really, really beautiful. And thank you so much for really kind of pointing out this kind of, I'm gonna say the bullshit, that's too shall pass. It's like whatever, but I'm dying right now. I don't care how it's gonna pass. Tomorrow. Most of the people will think that way. But as you said, to go in, to go within, and just to say, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Everything is crumbling around me. The only option for me is actually to surrender to that inner intelligence, and to allow that inner intelligence from within to find the way out.
Exactly.
That's profound. That's beautiful.
To make the unconscious conscious. And that's kind of like the nature of hypnosis, right? Like that's what hypnosis is essentially doing. It's helping to make the unconscious. And I do want to bring up, I don't know if this would be helpful for people, but, there is some resistance is not quite the right word. Some people have some difficulty with meditation, for instance.
Yeah.
It gets them nervous and fearful. That quiet, like when they actually quiet the thinking mind and are faced with like an internal reality. It can be fearful if it's new, right? Um, so I just want to offer that for me, self hypnosis. I used to always want to be an avid meditator. For me, I just kind of got bored. I was not like I can never as much as I wanted to get into it because I know the benefits. I could just never fully like make it a habit. And it wasn't until I learned self hypnosis that it gave me like a consistent point of focus, and it allowed me to create a habit out of a restorative practice. It allowed me to make a restorative practice a habit. So now it's like I love meditation. I'll meditate, as much as I can do it. So there are ways to get into a restorative practice that, if you've got some self-imposed limitations, or if you've got some real emotional issues around it, like there are ways to get into a restorative practice like meditation.
Right. So would you say it's about safety? It's
Yeah,
about feeling safe,
yeah,
to coming down on the system.
absolutely. And then you might need some help too. Like there's some, if you're encountering an inner reality that is, so scary that you can't even go there, like there are ways to work with that.
Mm. And that's really beautiful and reassuring for people to know that you can offer something like that, this kind of safe space, which I feel when I'm working. I don't really like word working, but I don't know what other word to actually
Sure.
use at this moment, uh, to offer them what people I notice need. They don't really care what kind of therapist anyone is, how many degrees someone has. What they need is this presence, it's safety.
Hmm.
They want to feel safe, they want to feel heard, and they want to feel seen in this safe environment. And just by creating that environment, I've noticed, can bring tremendous amount of healing to a person.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And everybody out there, if you really think into this, if you really feel into this, you've probably experienced this. You've probably been on both sides of it, right? You've been the
Right.
who let somebody else feel safe enough to reach something inside that they would not have been able to. And
That's
you've been allowed to have that safety from someone else too.
hmm absolutely. And that's how we learn. We kind of experience light, and then we have this ability to give that light as well unconditionally, and create that space. Yeah, as you said, that space, safety, where people can be seen and heard, and gentleness. I think people want softness, they want gentleness. That's what brings healing. So before we go, because you promised us, thank you so much. You promised us another taster, hypnotherapy. But before we go into that one, we're gonna close with that one. I would like to just your final words to humanity,
Final
to
words of
humanity as a
humanity.
whole.
Oh, let's
What would you
see.
say to humanity?
um, well, I think I'm going to repeat myself a little bit here, Anna,
Mm-hmm.
with this world that we're in these days is as crazy as you want to pay attention to. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
It's
Yeah.
we live in crazy times right now. So if that is getting to you, lean into whatever level of restorative practice you feel called to. And I recommend self hypnosis because I'm a hypnotist, but meditation, but lean into that because this outside world is not the whole picture.
Oh, I love that. So the outside world is not the whole picture. So we can perhaps choose what picture, what perception we want to actually absorb into our body to calm down our nervous system to those restorative practices that you have mentioned
Yep.
there.
Or at the very least, just get acquainted with the fuller spectrum of our consciousness that,
Right.
inevitably there's the wisest part of us that we can contact that has the answers, or there's some part of us that has an answer that is going to be helpful for us. At the very least, it's going to help us to respond to the world more in a way that we would like to.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for the beautiful advice, and I'm looking forward for us to dive deep again,
Great.
and for people and myself to experience your magic. And let's do this.
Okay, awesome. And this is, I like to call this a hypnotic meditation because when I'm doing one on one hypnotherapy with people, we're doing quite different activities here. So this is a taste of hypnosis. I call it a hypnotic meditation. And hypnosis isn't magic. It sure feels like magic when we're able to kind of resolve the roots. But let's give everybody a taste of hypnosis and in this hypnotic meditation. So if you would like to join me for this hypnotic meditation, just get into a comfortable position. Nothing too fussy here. Just seated, lying down. Allow yourself to just settle in wherever you are. Clearly, if you're driving, or only participate if you can give this your full attention safely. And in that case, let's just start by taking a deep breath in. And as you exhale, just settle into the chair or the bed or wherever you are. Just settle into it physically. Just settle into gravity. And find a spot on the wall or find a spot in your field of vision that is above your natural eye gaze. And so your eyes will be upturned like this. It'll look something like this. And taking a deep breath, and I want you to really focus in on a single spot. Focus in on it and really eagle eye it. Look at all the little nuance and details. And as you exhale, look through that spot with a relaxed gaze. And you might notice the corners of the room. You're activating your peripheral vision, which is putting you into a parasympathetic response. And when you're ready, close your eyes. Good. Now, once again, take your attention to the feeling of the surface beneath you. The sense of gravity there, it's gently holding you in place close to the earth. And as you focus on this sensation, you feel more and more settled, comfortably relaxed. And as you take in another deep breath, send your awareness down into the earth, down through all the layers of the earth, down to the very center of the earth, using the power of your mind. And as you take in a deep breath, bring up some of that grounded, supporting energy from the earth. Bring it up through the layers of the earth into your body. Good. Now relax your jaw. And as you do, it sends a signal to your entire body that now is the time to relax. There's nothing you need to do right now, nowhere to be. You're in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. And just gradually slow down your rate of breathing. Comfortable, slow rate of breathing with a really long exhalation. Just elongate your exhalation. Nothing forced. We're not doing any fancy breath work here. It's just a comfortable, slower rhythm of breathing with a little bit of a longer exhalation. And relax the back of your tongue. Curious suggestion. As you do, it decouples that part of your mind that's always preparing to speak from your tongue, allowing you to have new thoughts or expansive thoughts. Or maybe just silence and stillness. Good. Now take in another deep breath, and as you do, send your awareness up, out at the top of your head to the very center of the universe, all the way to the very center of the universe. And as you exhale, bring some of that energy of inspiration right down back into your body. And as that awareness fades, you go even more deeply and comfortably relaxed. Good. Now, at this time, call in a higher power, whatever that is for you. Call in all the loving guidance from your spiritual allies, and just know that an all-encompassing love fills you and your environment. You are deeply, deeply loved. And as you bring your awareness back into your body, let that grounded, nurturing energy of the earth and the wisdom and clarity of the divine commingle in this balance point of your heart. Drop your awareness into your heart now, whatever that means to you. And you feel it once grounded, settled, and calm, and open to inspiration, feeling blessed and grateful. Now imagine a warm golden light surrounding your body, filling you with a sense of peace and tranquility. And as you do, you feel this light washing away any little bits of stress or tension. And there might be one part of your body right now that just wants to let go. Just allow that to happen. Let that golden light facilitate that. And with the power of your mind, imagine now that you are a tree. Whatever tree comes up is exactly right. Good. Now step back from the tree to notice more. This tree is beautiful. And as you observe all of the intricacies of the tree, the shape and the color of the leaves, the texture of the bark, the tangled branches and the light and the shadow, notice that this tree has grown in accordance with its environment. The branches have all grown up towards the light in a way that best suits that tree, given the conditions at that time. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, again, with the power of your mind, approach the tree and let your awareness rise up the trunk into the branches. And perhaps you feel a warm, light breeze. You might hear the leaves rustling. And as you're aware of being within this tree, you now merge with the tree and begin to feel how the breeze gently brushes the leaves, as if it's a comfortable warm breeze flowing through your own hair, brushing your own skin. And as you become the tree, you notice a bird in the branches. Again, whatever you notice here is exactly right. This bird is very busy hopping around, busy flitting from branch to branch, busy searching for food, anything exciting among the leaves. This bird may sample a fruit or an insect. It's very hungry. It seeks to be fulfilled from its experience in this beautiful tree. But there's always something more it's seeking to satisfy itself. It never really truly feels satisfied with what it finds in the tree. Notice the feathers specifically of this bird. And as you do, this bird shows off its beauty a little, presenting itself, calling out with a sound. As you notice the bird, now merge with the bird and start to sense that this bird is like an aspect of your identity. It displays to the world what it wants the world to see in its feathers. It's always looking for more excitement and fulfillment within this tree. But however beautiful the tree, however beautiful its branches and leaves and flowers and fruit, the bird is never fully satisfied or fulfilled by all of these wonders. It's always seeking more. So flying from branch to branch, scanning the tree, notice that there's another bird nearby, a beautiful, very calm bird. Sits very still. It has a friendly gaze and it's fixed on you now. This beautiful bird's gaze is comforting and very familiar. And these two birds are companions. They're very friendly, very familiar with each other. You feel a deep love and sense of comfort and security emanating from that calm bird and its gentle gaze. The beautiful calm bird is the silent witness. And you realize it's been lovingly watching you scan that tree for exciting tidbits. And as you lock eyes, once again with this beautiful calm bird, you feel a deep sense of tranquility and warmth and comfort. This bird has been lovingly watching you your whole life in this tree. No judgment, only love and acceptance. And this bird is so familiar, it almost feels essentially like you. And you sense that this bird has existed forever beyond time and space. As you turn your attention away from the branches and the fruit and the breezes, take your attention to that feeling of deep love for and from this bird. And you now sense that this bird is an eternal part of you that transcends time and space. Feel that sense of unconditional love and calm now. And notice where you feel it in your body. Where is it concentrated? And if it had a color, what would it be? Breathe that color in now. Breathe it in and let it infuse every muscle, nerve, and cell in your body. And you once again lock eyes with this beautiful, calm bird, noticing again the loving, the fully accepting nature of this gaze. Now, once again, take your attention to the surface beneath you. And as you pull back your gaze and notice the tree, your awareness starts to go down the trunk of the tree, back down to the ground, feeling that surface beneath you, feeling the sensation of your breath entering your lungs. And once you're back down on the ground, really feel that gravity holding you close. And I'm going to count to 3. And upon 3, you'll emerge from this hypnotic meditation feeling amazing. 1, back on the ground, feeling the ground on your feet. 2, feeling that warm breeze on your skin. Carrying the message from that bird once again. And 3, opening your eyes. Right back here with us. Thanks for joining me for that.
Oh, wow. That was incredible, Tim. I have absolutely no idea where I was for I don't know how many minutes that we had that you were doing this meditation. It was like as if I've gone to another reality and spent some time there. And then when you said open your eyes, boom, I'm back here. And only in that moment when I came back here, this kind of awareness hit me. Where was
Yeah,
I? You
right.
know?
Good on it. You're a natural at this, and most people are. Um, Hypnosis is powerful, and we get this sort of space and time distortion often in hypnosis. You might, if you're a meditator, you
Yeah.
might have experienced that in meditation too. I think hypnosis really, it's a hallmark of hypnosis, this sort of space and time distortion that can happen.
That was incredible. That meditation is fantastic, and I'm so happy it's been recorded because I'm definitely going to be replaying that one and using it for my as my
Awesome.
meditative practice.
Oh,
Thank
I'm
you so
so
much for
honored to
that.
hear that. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Mm. And yeah, thank you very much for the trees and the vision of little birds, and I could hear them singing. Did you play
I
something?
did not, but it's so cool that you heard it that vividly.
You did not play anything.
Oh,
Wow,
Anna, how
you
funny.
did.
There's birds outside my window you might have tuned into. That could be it. Or you might have heard it in your mind.
Maybe I heard your. Do you know what I've heard? I've heard the owl.
Ah, okay. It might be these doves. It might be these doves outside. They were helping.
So I heard your birds. Oh, fantastic. That's so good. Everything was emerging, and then you were talking about birds and trees. This was
Awesome.
fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me,
Thank
and thank you very much for all of your wisdom, all of your knowledge, all of your expertise. And I think you're such a beautiful human. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for sharing really from your heart, from your soul, and thank you for really giving part of yourself to this interview and to the people who'll be watching. And I appreciate you for it, and thank you for being really real and honest, authentic. Thank you so much. for all your offerings and for all that
Thank
you
you.
do.
Like
And I'm going to be
for
putting
everything
your
you're
link.
doing. I so appreciate the opportunity to be here with you, and you're doing amazing work in the world yourself. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you so much. And just so that people know how to reach you, I'll be putting links below, your website and everything else. And if there's anything else you want me to add, do let me know. But whoever is interested in meeting team, do you work on Zoom as well or just in person?
It's just online, and so it'll be via Zoom. And we
Uh-huh.
always start off with a consultation, and it's free. And it
Mhm.
allows me to get
Right.
to know what you and what you'd like help with a little deeper, and then from there we determine how many sessions for you it would take to get results, and we discuss answer all your questions and discuss all kinds of details, and then from there we make a decision if it's a good fit and a good way to move forward.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So everything will be in the link below. And once again, team, thank you so much. Many blessings to you. And yeah, I'm looking forward for us connecting again and doing something similar in the
Awesome.
future.
Likewise, Anna. Thank you.
Thank you.